Welcome to the Second Win Boxing Media. I'm your host, Rashid Hammond, and alongside...
It's your boy, Caesar Fantastic, and today we have the privilege to be joined by three-time world champion, one of the few to go from being a champion at middleweight to a champion at light heavyweight, Mr. Reggie Johnson, Reggie Sweet Johnson. How's it going, man?
Oh, everything is going well, man. Thanks for sharing your platform with me, and looking forward to hanging out with you and your fans, your followers.
Man, it's a pleasure to have you, man.
Oh, yes,
We
indeed.
get into it. We're gonna get right into it, man. When did you start boxing, and what got you into boxing?
Well, my late uncle Kenneth Iron Man Walker, who boxed for the Salvation Army Boys Club, we lost him about 9-10 months ago. Took me to the Salvation Army Boys Club, introduced me to the late Mr. James Carter, who became, of course, my boxing coach, father figure, and the powerful man in my life, because the first day they put me in there with a kid that had like 30 plus fights. And I can remember after doing 3 rounds, keep in mind, this is my first time ever being in a boxing ring. You know, street fighting on the streets as a little kid and being in organized fight is 2 different things. But anyway, they put me in with this young kid, and I remember after going 3 rounds, getting out, Mr. Carter, the look on my uncle and everybody's face, and when Mr. Carter then was taking the headgear and the gloves off, he said something to me that I grabbed and I hung on to it. He said, "Young man, you can become champion of the world." And I became champion of the world. And I remember after that day, the football I played, the basketball I played, the soccer, the wrestling, every other sport, baseball I did was out of there. Boxing became my life.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Now you were 96-12 as an amateur or something?
Yes, 96-12.
That was okay. And what were some of the and what were some of the most memorable moments from your amateur career?
Well, I know I remember making it to the nationals at the age of right when I turned 16, and I was fighting in the state, and I beat the number 3 guy. So me beating the number 3 guy made me become the number 3 guy. And I remember, you know, growing up fast, having 2 sisters, twins, and my mother. Dad was locked up, and I remember I grew up fast. I remember working at Kroger's, Mr. Callahan, a man I just saw last week for a Christmas thing he did at his house, who was with Kroger's for 56 years. He gave me a job at the age of 14. I think back then you had to be 16, but Mr. Carter talked to him, and the man let me work there, knowing that I was a standout amateur fighter, that a lot of people at Mr. Carter, the boys club, had invested in. But anyway, we had the assistant manager who was a rude guy, smoked a cigar, the way he was handling people, this and that. And to make a long story short, I was standing behind the counter, and I was looking at the schedule, seeing when I come back to work, and he asked me to do something. And keep in mind, now, this is a build-up. He asked me to do something. I said, I already clocked out. And he used a cuss word, and the way he said it, I don't care, do it. And I added cuss words to that. And the next thing I know, I didn't hit this man with an 8-piece. Keep in mind, I'm 14 years old. I hit this man with an 8-piece. This man is out bleeding, and I take off running and run home. But I remember when I got home, I knocked on the door, opened the door, and my mother saw the look on my face. "What's wrong with you?" And I told her what happened. She said my mother was upset because Mr. Callahan, that was the main manager who worked with Mr. Carter, my coach, man, my mother was highly upset. To make a long story short, but anyway, Mr. Callahan and them, they had a meeting. Mr. Carter, my mother, and I went there, and the guy that I had beat up, Mr. Callahan said, well, Reggie, you're going to be champion of the world. You can't be just fighting people, hitting them with your hands, this and that. So he went on to tell me that. And then he got to the guy, and then he said, wait a minute. He said, you're an assistant manager? I say, Reggie told you he had clocked out all the other people working here. Why come you couldn't get them? And then, but to make a long story short, the man said, man, I would like to make this go away as if it didn't happen and we move forward. Can we do that? And everybody's looking for it. But anyway, we did it. I think it wasn't even 2 weeks. This guy still carrying on the same way. I went to go find Mr. Callahan, and I found him in the fruit and vegetables. I said, Mr. Callahan, I need to talk to you. He said, what's wrong? What's wrong? He thought I had lost it and hit the guy again. I said, no, I need to talk to you. But anyway, I went back upstairs in his office, talked to him. I said, listen, I can't work with this guy. I'm about to find me another job. Boom. But I'll never forget, it was the longest walk home. And when I knocked on that door, my mother saw that look on my face. My mother said, boy, what the hell you did now? You didn't put your I said, no, mama, no. I said, mama, I can't work with that dude. I'm going to end up putting my hands back on that dude. I said, he's a rude guy. I think he's racist. He's this, he's that. Blah, blah. My mama said, oh, my God. Oh, boy, I thought you had put hands on somebody again, got yourself in trouble. And she said, I got something for you. My mother went in her room, came out. This is my late mother talking about too, brother. My mother came out with all this mail, and she going through the mail, and she give me the mail with my name on it. It had been opened. I said, well, Mom, why you? She said, boy, I'm your goddamn mama. I can open your mail. Just read the mail. And I read the mail, and it said, Reggie Johnson, USA boxing team, Sweden, Germany, Denmark, Japan. Wow. And it was perfect timing. I was invited to the USA boxing team where I met Evander Holyfield, Pernell Whitaker, Medrick Taylor, Mike Tyson. All these guys was on the US team. Mm-hmm. And I was going to Bangkok, Thailand for the World Kings Cup tournament. And I was the youngest to win it at age 16. And this was back in I think it was late 83, early 84 when that happened. But my whole life changed. I was there training at the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs, making almost twice the money I was making at Kroger's, but doing what I love to do.
That's right.
We got a check every 2 weeks, and that's how I started.
That's what's up,
96 and 12 as an amateur. Lost my first 4 amateur fight. First fight, I got disqualified for slapping because I was punching so fast. That's when they had the whites on the end of the gloves. Wasn't turning the punches over. Got disqualified. But when I won my 5th fight, the next time I lost, I had I think it was like 36, 37 amateur fights, and I lost in the JO Nationals.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And you turn that stellar amateur career into a pro career, which you ran through and all the way up to that first title shot with James Toney, right?
Right, absolutely. Yeah.
What were your feelings coming into that fight with Toney?
Well, before we get to the Toney fight, let me say this here. I have to acknowledge being 16. Me and Tyson was 16. I think it was four guys on the U.S. team that was 16. But me, Tyson, Medrick Taylor, this guy from Detroit who's deceased now, but he was 16 too. But I just remember the Olympic trials, fighting in the Olympic trials. Tyson lost to Henry Tillman, who won the gold medal. I lost to Frank Tate from Detroit, who now lives in Houston, because he signed with the people I was going to sign with when I turned pro. He won the gold medal. So, just after that, the thing was, I wanted to turn pro. I didn't want to wait for the 88. And Mr. Carter, my mom, going back and forth, and we was kind of like stuck. Are we going to let him turn pro, or are we going to wait another 4 years? And then I found out I had a kid on the way. That closed my deal. I turned pro.
Yeah,
My
you
mother
gotta
said,
go
"Oh
pro.
yeah." My mom said, "Oh yeah, you turning pro now. You turning pro now." After losing in the Olympic trials, I think Frank Tate, when he turned pro with Josephine Abercrombie, the lady who was based here, who had me with them before even the Olympic trials, because they wanted me to turn pro with them, but I didn't because they signed a guy lost in the Olympic trials. Mr. Carter said, "No, you guys are going to face each other sometime as professionals." But everything worked out fine. Mr. Carter found a group of people who, think about it, 17 years old, getting $250,000 and a brand new car, being able to take care of all my responsibilities. My oldest daughter now is 37. Being able to take care of all that, it was a beautiful thing, man. I really and truly, know God was on my side.
That's what's up, man. So getting into that Tony fight, how were your feelings? What were your feelings coming into it?
Well, my feelings going into the Tony fight was, I also like to add this here. I tell everybody, you have to chase the dream will never chase you. I got to a point to where my last fight I had fought in South Africa as a professional, and I beat the South African guy during apartheid, 1988, during apartheid. I wasn't even supposed to be over there at 22. But to make a long story short, after I went and stopped a guy, the guy from South Africa in his backyard, got back. My then manager, who's still a good friend, and I go see him and his wife all the time, Bob Jordan, and wouldn't get me fights. And opportunity came where I met another fighter, told me about the people in L.A. I moved to L.A. And I always tell people, you got to chase the dream will never chase you. And I'll tell everybody, if I wouldn't have left and went to California, I probably wouldn't have never got a chance to fight for a world title.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, let's talk about James Lightside Tony, who became one of the probably one of those fighters like myself probably could fight in any era because he was a smart fighter, very brilliant fighter. Till this day, in my heart, I know that's a fight that I really won.
Yeah.
But that's when I really learned about the politics of boxing.
Yeah.
But look what James Toney accomplished, moving all the way up to heavyweight. So you learn to be able to live with that. I beat that guy, but they gave it to him. But you learn it once you see what he do inside the ring and what he's done, his history. And I think I was 29-1-1 when me and Tony fought. Yeah, 29-1-1. And that wasn't a fight that was made. That was a mandatory fight. James Toney had to fight me because Michael Nunn, I was his mandatory, and they kept doing political stuff, getting buys, and he fought James Toney, and it was beating James Toney, but James Toney came and knocked him out. And James Toney had to, as a matter of fact, James Toney fought me 6 weeks after he won the world title from Michael second to none.
Yeah, I was going to ask you why you never fought none.
I think you won that
Well, that's
fight,
the reason
though,
why.
hands down.
That's the reason why. That's the reason why I didn't fight none, because Tony, that was my mandatory, but he didn't fight me. He fought James Toney and lost. And James Toney fought me 6 weeks after he knocked out Michael Nunn, which is unheard of.
Were you the first to knock James Toney down? Because I know you dropped him.
Yeah, I was the first to. I think I was the only one knocked him down. I think, that punch with him and Roy Jones, that was more like a slip. But it was a legitimate knockdown, but it wasn't a brutal knockdown. Yeah, I'm the first person to knock him down. Yeah.
I definitely believe you won that fight hands down. I watched it recently over and over again, and you won that fight. I mean, a blind man could have saw that one.
Well, let me tell you this here. If you go back and watch that fight in the second round when I knocked James Toney down, Patricia German, I'll never forget her name. She has another last name because she's married now, but she was the judge. When I knocked Toney down, she hit the table like this here, and she was looking at me. She was upset. This is the same lady had me like, 3-4 points going into the last round, 3 to 4 points behind. Yeah.
Right. And,
There's a lot of
and it's
politics.
crazy that they found judges recently who admitted, or referees who admit to favoring promoters and different things of that nature. So it's been going on forever, the cheating and robbing of the game. So
Hey, that's very well said what you just said. I'm gonna use that. That favored the promoters. They didn't favor the fighter. They were working for the promoters.
they're
There you
working
go.
for the promoters, exactly.
Right. Right.
Yes, indeed.
That's right. Yeah.
So 10 months later, go into a fight with Steve Collins for the WBA middleweight belt. Did you take anything you learned from the Tony fight into that fight?
Oh, absolutely. To go all out and leave it all in the ring. Being a little bit more aggressive. Another Irish Steve Collins, after we fought. Let's keep in mind he went on to win, moved up and went to super middleweight and won the world titles. He was a great fighter, one of the best that come from Ireland. And the reason why I ended up fighting Steve Collins because I was number one by two of the sanctioning bodies, and then the WBA I was number two, but he was number one. And what happened was Mike McCollum, when he fought James Toney, he didn't put his belt up because he didn't pay the sanctioning fees. So because he thought he was going to beat Toney, but he lost. So that belt became open and 1 and 2. I was one by the WBC and IBF, but I was number two by the WBA. So whenever that happened, what happened with Mike McCallum, who didn't pay his sanctioning fees, 1 and 2 fight for the vacant title, and that's how I ended up fighting Irish Steve Collins.
Okay. And what were your feelings when the decision was announced?
Well, I'm gonna tell you something about that fight. It's another fight that you know when you win, you know when you lose, and you know when it's a close fight. But even with that fight, if you go back and watch before they announced me the winner, when the guy said that one of the guys said that it was even, I had a look on my face like, oh man, they finna get me again. Go look at that. Because everybody, when they said that one of the judges had it even, I'm like, man, here we go again. But then and I'm pretty sure you saw when they announced me the winner that how I reacted. And yeah.
All right. Now the John David Jackson fight.
Okay.
It was a
let me tell you something about
good fight, both sides.
Good fight. Well, that's I also consider that one of my political losses. Let me lay that out and tell you how that went. When me and John David fought in Argentina, he was supposed to go back to Argentina and fight Jorge Castro. He didn't go. He wouldn't go because he knew what they did to me with him, so he didn't go. That's why they stripped him. That's why I ended up going back and fighting Castro again over there. So, that's part of the politics of boxing. And, boxing is a business sport. And John David Jackson, even after that happened, when he's getting ready to fight another left-handed, I went in. I was in California. Me and him, I helped him get ready for that fight. Yeah, I'm sorry. He helped me get ready. No, he helped me get ready for the William Guthrie fight because he's left-handed too. Yeah.
All right, and so you said that was another political fight that you came out short on. Okay. And then the Castro fights as well, right?
Both of the Castro fights, absolutely. Well, think about it. When you fight a guy in his backyard, and whenever they use that word split decision loss, 9 out of 10 times the guy who won the fight, he won that fight because he was fighting in his backyard.
Okay, and with all the controversies and everything in your career and things, How big do you think unionization could play in that?
Oh man, we definitely
Or
need a
just in
union.
boxing in general?
Yeah, in general, boxing need a union. It needs something that really take care of fighters. Uh, if you really and truly think about where we at with boxing, it's the oldest sport. Started with bare knuckles. The those corrupt mob people started boxing, and till this day, you know, if you really size it up and look at it, you can tell how we started is still ongoing until this day. Uh, until fighters come together and said enough is enough, which is going to be very hard to do because if I've been fighting, I didn't fought 13, 14, 15 fights. I've positioned myself to make a big payday. I can't stop this because I've got to take care of my family. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's got to be a way that fighters can come together and say, hey man, enough is enough. Let's make this better for the fighters coming after us.
Yeah. That's a box I've been standing on since we started this podcast, man. I've been talking unionization, getting fighters their power back. Opening the books, let fighters see how much are these promoters getting paid on our backs. You know what I mean? And it's a lot of things, man. Just collectively bargained.
But this should really make you think about this here. When you really think about this here, when you really think about this here, they got referees, they got judges, they got timekeepers.
Mm-hmm.
You know they got the promoters making more money than the two guys who got their life and health on the line that's in that fight.
Mm-hmm.
Facts.
That's ludicrous. It's crazy. But it's the reality of where we at with boxing.
Yeah. At that, you got ex-fighters who can't get health care, and it's a total mess, man.
Yeah, but they can get it if they pay with it with their own money, but they should already have it.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? I think if a pro fighter had over come up with a number of so many fights, he should be taken care of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In the NFL, I think it's 7 years, and you're vested, and they take care of you for the rest of your life.
I thought it was 5 years. I think it's 5 years.
It's 5. Okay, it's probably 5.
I think it's 5. If my memory serves me right, and then I think somebody was telling me they even changed it. It might be even 3 years now, but I think it's 5. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but it should be something like that in boxing, man.
Okay, but let me keep it real with you. I think if fighters come together, we can pull this off. I'm gonna tell you one fighter, and I know his mindset ain't to do this, but I got one fighter bring all spearhead and say, "Come on, let's all fighters come together." And this guy is not even fighting now. I think if George Foreman initiated this, I think we can do something, but I don't think he'll do it.
Yeah, he has the pull in the personality to make it happen for sure.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
People
And I got guys calling me too. That's right now as we speak. Called me last week, talking about the pension and this is something that he specializes in other companies and corporations. Yeah. And he's trying to, put something together that, we can get the government, and that's another thing that makes it hard too. Boxing is a world sport. Yeah. We could probably start it here, but this is something that need to be taken care of all over the world.
So how do you feel about the fact that they have so many different governing bodies? Do you think they should form one big national organization to oversee boxing, or should they could keep it individually governed by each state?
I think from a world perspective, I think every nation should have their own So when you have all these different people you got to see in every different state, and then if a state don't have a boxing commission, they'll pick a state that they give to them to abide by. Yeah. I think that's ludicrous. I think it's crazy. I think everybody should deal with the same situation in the United States. Everybody should deal with the same situation in London, UK, in Germany, or wherever they at.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree. I agree.
yeah, definitely. All right, now let's get back to to the Guthrie knockout. Right, you came in a big underdog in that fight. You think you moving up in weight from middleweight to light heavy, right?
Hmm.
Um, what was your preparation like, and what was your mindset leading into that fight?
Well, let me tell you how that fight came about. That fight, the guy called the gym, and that fight was for who I lost to in the Olympic trials, Frank Tate, who was former middleweight champion,
Mhm.
and he didn't take the fight. And the guy, Mr. Benton, who owned the gym, Bill Benton, asked the guy from HBO. He said, well, we have somebody to fight him, but I don't know if, I don't think Guthrie beat him. He said, get the hell out. Who you got there? And then when he said my name, he said, Reggie is a middleweight. He said, yeah, but Reggie is moving up to 68, but I think he'll take this opportunity at 75. And he was right. I took that opportunity, and I thank Mr. Bill Benton for speaking my name out and signing off on me to take that fight. That's how that whole fight happened. That fight was for Frank Tate.
Yeah. Okay.
And going into that fight, a
So,
7-1 underdog, having
mhm.
my late manager at the time, Mr. Vaughn, who's deceased, one of his friends who was a retired insurance guy, the money guy. I remember after that fight in the dressing room, everybody's celebrating, and I'm sitting there. He walked over there, put his arms around me. He said, "Reggie, you made another 100,000." I'm like, "Yeah, right. How am I gonna make 100,000?" These promoters don't just give money. He said, "Man, I bet it 100,000 at 7-1." So he made six
Wow.
Mhm.
hundred thousand dollars. Yeah,
Okay, and
Ooh,
gave you one.
yeah,
that's all
yeah,
right.
yeah.
So now, what
And
does that?
hey,
Oh,
that was also knockout of the year. I don't know if you
yeah,
guys knew that. Yeah,
Yeah, we,
I
in
was
'98.
just
Yeah.
about to ask, what does that placed, perfectly timed punch, one punch knockout? What does that feel like to a fighter in that ring?
Well, if you go back and look at that fight, you set out a game plan. Guthrie was a lot bigger than I was, and was a lot stronger than I was. And that came to a time in certain areas of that fight, I had to be more aggressive, but I was smarter, knew when to grab him, knew when to punch, knew when to make sure my defense and weigh him down with body shots, and it was, if you go back and watch that fight, he threw a hook, I caught it, and gave him a hook right back, and it was over.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just timing. When you do something for so long, it becomes second nature. And
Yeah,
it was like perfectly timed.
it was perfect punch. I got one more question. And the Four Kings, they left middleweight division right before you really came into your own in that division. Was it any part of you that was wish they would have stayed around a little bit longer so you could see what they was really about?
Oh, absolutely. I would have loved to have been in that era, man, because the money those guys was making then, compared to
Mm-hmm.
what we were making in the era right behind them, to get in there with a Sugar Ray Leonard, a Tommy Hearns, uh, a Wilfred Benitez, and a
Mm-hmm.
Roberto Duran. Yeah, that would have been awesome. And think about it, when you mention those four guys, that's those legends forever.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
and they, everything we went on to do in my era, even with Roy Jones, they laid it out for us. They set an example for us.
Yeah. All right. You got some shit you want?
yeah. What was that feeling like when they called your name as the new champion of the world? How was that feeling for you once you heard your name called as the new world champion?
Well, I felt that they was real late calling me the champion of the world. I felt that should have happened in '91. Uh, That's a joke, man. It was a great feeling, and especially when I beat Steve Collins, and then to come back to move up 2 weight classes and win it. You man, it's kind of hard to really explain what I felt at that time, but I mean, when you accomplish something that big, what you set out to do, what you put in the work to do, it's you can only, like the song, well done.
Yeah.
Well done. And if I could have grabbed the mic, I would have said, okay, well, y'all got this one right.
And as we watched and studied your career, man, we do think you caught a lot of bad decisions. In that,
calls, man.
you know how they have in football, where you can reverse a penalty or bring back a play or something of that nature.
Right.
What if they had also in boxing where you can have judges, a new set of judges separate from the ones that already did the fight, and
right.
you can call back another set of judges to redo the fight, like instant replay. Would you agree to something like that?
That's 50-50, man. You live, you learn, you experience. That's done, and I'm happy what I've accomplished. And everybody that have eyes, real eyes, and don't wear them thick glasses. They know what they really seen. They know the real deal. I know that I got 4 political losses on my record. And I know that I've got 3 losses that are legitimate losses on my record.
Yeah.
So, and I can live with that. And, in spite of what the records say, and just think about this, man, because you haven't brought up Roy Jones, who was the greatest fighter of our era.
Yeah.
And think about the how gifted and talented this man was. Then, being a part of that history, being in the ring with him, fighting for all unifying the light heavyweight division back in 1999. But think about it. Roy been knocked out 5 times. James Toney moving up, beating the great Evander Holyfield, who beat Tyson twice.
Yeah.
It just, man, there's so many different ways you can look at boxing and say, hey, man, this,
Yeah.
So just think about that, man. And I asked Holyfield one time, I say, man, if you could fight Tyson again, he bite your other ear off, you be okay with that? He said, yeah. If they pay me another $40 billion, he said he don't have a problem with it.
I know that's right.
Hey, I feel him though. So who was some of your idols that you looked up to coming up in the boxing world?
Well, I knew about Sugar Ray Robinson and all those guys, but my hero in and out the ring, Muhammad Ali, who a person that I really had a chance to spend a lot of time with, a person that I knew. I remember Lloyd Wells, the late Lloyd Wells, who was worked with NFL players. He became real close with Ali. That's how I really got close to Ali. I got a couple of pictures of me and Judge at his mother's funeral. And, even when I lived in California, I remember one time they called Ali in the ring. I was the main event, and him and his oldest daughter was there. And I remember there. And the most beautiful thing, my second fight, when I won the world title against Irish Steve Collins, Ali sitting right next to my ring, and they calling him in the ring. And, the day before the fight, I was in his room with his little son, and in there clowning with him, and I get a knock on the door, and my chief trainer, Manuel Chato Robles, the late Chato, knocked on the door and came in and said, Reggie, come here. And I went outside. He said, listen, man, I know you like Ali, man. He from Mexico, Chato.
Okay.
Chato say, Reggie, I know you love Ali, man. He said, but Ali no fight for you. We fight for a world title tomorrow, man. We got to get focused. So I said, okay. I said, all right, Chato. So I go back in there, and Ali said, who that? I said, that's Chato, my chief trainer. Remember? Oh, what you say, Chato? What's his name, Chato? I said, yeah, Chato. He said, boy, you know what, Chato, right? He said, I don't want you blame. He said, I don't want you blaming me if that Irish white boy whip your ass. So, and then, y'all don't know Ali, but then Ali, when he say stuff like that, he'll start throwing punches at you and stuff. But but that night, that fight, they even showed during the fight, Ali sitting right there by my ring.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. I wanted another question. I asked all fighters, man, that definitely have an extensive amateur career. How was that transition from the amateurs to the pros? What was the difference between the two, in your opinion?
Well, especially you feel nothing when you especially had that many fights and you're fighting all over, not just in the United States, all over the world. But I'm gonna tell you one of the things happened to me that I learned from. I think it was my 6th pro fight, and I was fighting a guy, pretty good guy. I lost my 7th pro fight, 6 or 7 pro fight, and it was my first 8-round fight. I was more worried about going 8 rounds because I had never boxed 8 rounds, and I remember when that last bell rung for 8 round, I still had all this energy. I wasn't tired of nothing, and the guy beat me with a split decision. And I really learned from that. And I think after that, the next time I lost it was with when I fought James Toney.
Okay. In your opinion, who you fought James Toney as well as Roy Jones? Which one of them two hit the hardest of the two?
Well, I mean, James Toney didn't really hit me a lot. The one who landed is the one who hit the hardest, and Roy Jones dropped me 2 times. Really, one of them was it was a legitimate knockdown, but I was like off balance. But that second knockdown, I didn't even see it, and he, speed generate power, and when you got that fast punch, Roy Jones, and I think this is another thing people don't understand, that people go back and watch James Toney fight and like, well, Reggie, you really beat him, but I was fighting on my terms. But I was taught by Curtis Coates the first day I was in the gym with him. He said, go ahead, shadow box. He watched me for 3 rounds, and then he got in the ring. He said, Reggie, you see those legs you got? See them legs you use to position yourself to hit somebody with? He said, them the same goddamn legs you use to get the hell out the way.
That's right.
He said it all starts with your legs. And if you go back and watch most of my fights, I mean,
yes,
of course I use my hands, but all my fights have been with my legs.
That's a fact. I noticed that about you too. I noticed about how you never had the head movement. You always use defense. You treated defense just as well as offense in there.
Yeah.
From what I noticed and observing your career.
And even with all that done, look at that, man. So boxing is so rough. Look, you still can lose your teeth. Watch that. That's a joke, brother.
I was about to say. Don't do that.
So that was a good one. I thought you was. Hey, trust me, we got
both of you guys froze. Y'all look. You're not gonna tell you.
No, don't do that, man.
What advice do you have for the younger generation that's coming into the game, that's going pro? What advice would you give them, or things to look out for, or things to be, things to look out for in the fight game?
Well, I think you want to really connect with somebody that really have love for you outside the ring. Someone's going to be at your best interest when it comes to the business, man. You have to have some real good business people around you to help you control and get the money that you well deserve. And you got to put the work in. I mean, you got to work hard, man. I mean, when that bell ring, I tell people this story all the time. Y'all remember in the Rocky movie when Mr. T was beating up Rocky, and
Yeah.
and his wife was out there talking about stop the fight, stop the fight. You know, you got to be disciplined, man. There comes a time where you got to go. Hey, man, I'm going up in the mountains. I'm going to training camp. I know. I got to a point in my life. I didn't want women around me, man. I remember one time I was up in Big Bear, California, training for a fight, and they pushed the fight back, and so we all huddled up. Everybody said we go back down to LA for like 3 weeks, and I wasn't with that. I stayed. I said, no, I don't want to break my rhythm. I'm staying up here, and some of the guys stayed with me. Some of them went down. Yeah.
Yeah,
you gotta be disciplined, man. You gotta
dedication.
And think about this here. This might make sense to y'all. Boxing is the only sport that you can't play.
That's facts. Everything else, you play basketball.
Yeah.
Baseball,
you can't play boxing.
You can't play boxing.
That's right. Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a true statement. The name of our show is called The Second Wind Boxing Media.
Mm-hmm.
Describe that mythical second wind in a boxing ring when you get that second wind.
That second win is Reggie Johnson making a comeback, becoming the oldest fighter ever to win a world title. That's the second win. That's a goddamn lie.
He announced it. He announced it, y'all.
No. I think the second win is being able to take care of yourself, take care of your money. That second win is life after boxing. Yeah, I mean, you can still love boxing, but you can't love it to the point of where you go back. Think about it, man. All the great fighters, even the greatest of all time, Muhammad Ali, stayed too long. Mike Tyson, I think, what he went through outside the ring and then him coming back. And Mike said, man, I'm just here. I'm just fighting for the money, man. He's just, yeah. And I understand some of them guys coming back, especially when you see the fighters that's fighting today, because sometimes I be watching them fight. I'm like, oh, man, I can tie both my hands behind my back and beat this guy. But the reality of it is, man, especially when you've seen the world, you've accomplished some things, and you got all your faculties, all your health. Man, they got some fighters, man, that, man, they took a lot of punishment, and it's catching up to them. It's taking a toll on them. You can't understand them, man. And like Ali used to clown with Joe Frazier, man. Ali, I told you that's my hero in out the ring, man. But I admit that he was wrong with going that hard on Joe Frazier, But we, you live and you learn, and what I've learned and what I'm holding on to is what I've been through with the ultimate sport of boxing. I'm highly favored by God and highly blessed by God because I got all my faculties, got all my teeth.
Right.
The ones y'all thought I was going to pull out the I got all my teeth and my faculties good. Got family, got kids, got grandkids. I'm able to, live life and give back what I got, with Mr. Carter and other people in my life that came in and helped me accomplish the things that I accomplished as a fighter.
That's wonderful.
As a matter of fact, I'm here now with Miss Brenda Santos, and we have the Hug a Tree, Kiss a Fish deal that we're gonna get started. We're gonna get started back one day, but she have a round table, get stuff off your chest. Well, these kids and all of us sit in a room and just talk, and we're in a little town called Shepherd, Texas. You guys know anything about Shepherd, Texas?
No.
Oh, okay. Shepherd, Texas. That's where my family's from on my mom's side, my grandmother, and it's only about 45 minutes from Houston. 45 minutes from Houston. And every Thursday we come here and sit down with the kids, and even grown up tell their stories. And we got some grown up people have problems here too, and but we really here for the kids. As a matter of fact, man, I hate to put her on the spot, but I like Mr. Brenda. I want you guys. Sandwich going on? Yeah, come on, put that sandwich down, Brenda. She over here eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
That's the only thing I'm eating all day.
Hey, I'm gonna let her tell y'all about what she's done, man. It won't take 5 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
Sit down, sit down.
Hello, sir.
Brenda.
How are you? I
How
look
you doing, Brenda?
terrible. I am
Yeah,
very
you
well.
look
Thank you
great.
for asking.
You look great.
Yes, indeed.
Well,
Tell us about
yes,
the
sir.
program.
Well, we do live in a little town of Shepherd. I started this organization 18 years ago after being hit by a drunk driver. And
Right.
these are the misfit kids that Reggie and all his friends come up here every Thursday to help me. Right now, we have about 9 kids on suicide watch. And so these kids have been locked in dog cages. They have been abused. They have parents on drugs. Daddy's in prison. And so they got a lot of anger issues. So we chose the worst of the worst. And I told Reggie, if we can make this happen and get these kids on the right track, then we can do anything. And so for the last 9 months, Reggie has been coming down here with Jazzy and a lot of their friends. And Termite Watkins is a very dear friend of mine, Derek Woods. And so every week we pick a topic. And so a couple weeks it was on suicide.
Wait a minute. She said 9 months. I've been dealing with her for 12 years.
Well, I know, but just a program.
Oh, this program.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought Brenda was punch drunk too, man.
No. It's a tremendous issue everywhere. But
Yes.
I have an
Yes, it
issue
is.
with parents that just have no regards for their children's lives. And so I'm blessed to have Reggie and them coming down here and believing in what I'm doing. And so 18 years and we're still going strong. And so I'm just grateful for people like Reggie. He's a champ on every level, you know, and so as a humanitarian, and these kids connect to him. And I mean, if you see the response when he walks into a room, as a matter of fact, my only son the other night, he's like, Mom, have you ever watched one of Reggie's fights? And I'm like, you know, I've known him for 10 years and I don't think I've ever really sit down and watched it. He said, well, that's what we're going to do. And he turns the TV on and we're watching Reggie's fight. And then it goes from that to, Mom, you know, Evander Holyfield? And I said, well, I met Evander Holyfield. Joe goes, you have met him? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, Mom, you know some celebrities. And I see, so you know Mike Tyson? I said, no. But I heard the story about the ear biting deal. And, and my son goes, Mom, let's watch it. So I found myself Sunday watching a whole day of boxing and, you know, and watching these true champions. And, but I don't think that people really realize after the boxing world what the true champions they really are. That gives of their time, their heart, and their soul to drive an hour and 45 minutes to come out here with me and my children and stay until 10 and 11 o'clock at night to make sure that these children are safe. And so I'm grateful. So y'all got a real champ here. That's all I got to say.
That's awesome.
That's
Is it
yes,
any?
beautiful
Do you have
thing,
any anything that a way to communicate or contact you guys that probably could do donations or
Absolutely.
things of that nature?
I have, they can get me on my Facebook. It's under Brenda Santos Myers. I usually do a lot of my stuff on my personal account since I have so many different elements and stuff to get out to people. And then I have a website. It's www.impactcenter.vpweb.com. And so they can, I don't get a chance to update it very much, but they can see kind of the things that we do. We have after school programs. He's talking about the Get It Off Your Chest program where I started about 10 years ago, taking poverty-related and special needs kids camping and fishing. Started with 20-something kids, and it ended up being 2,500 after 10 years. And so there were some things that happened that we had to when a suicide in our community kept me from doing it. And so they're begging me to get it back again. So maybe one day.
Bring it back.
So
Definitely needed. Yes, indeed. It's that's a big issue going on. Gentleman yesterday who took his life, and sure that's having everybody aware of it. The gentleman that was on the Ellen show,
DJ Twitch, DJ Twitch,
DJ Twitch. Yeah, so I'm sure it's definitely needed. And boxers suffer from a lot of mental health issues as well.
Yes.
So. Especially those that stop fighting end up, miss the spotlight and, all the people go away and it causes a lot of mental health issues. We definitely and which what makes this ironic on every episode, we ask fighters how they feel about awareness of mental health issues that's involved, mental health that's happening amongst the boxing world. So it's like the universe brought you guys here to add to the awareness of it. So we appreciate your work, hard work, and community was one village and requires other people selflessness. You know what I'm saying? Not selfishness, selfless, being selfless. So.
Yep. Well, thank you for allowing me to be on here, and you keep up the good work, Reggie, and I'm going to go take care of some kids. I got about 40 of them out there. So.
Right. Thank y'all. Have a great one now. Thank you. Continue the great work.
Thank you, sir.
You know, this has been about that's been about 6 months ago, 7 months. I did a podcast, and I was here, and we ended up having to do the same thing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna make you famous, Rick.
She said she's gonna make me famous.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna put the website link in the
link it in description
in the section below. So it's link in description section. So.
Okay, I'd like to acknowledge 2 other people. Like one of the young ladies, I used to train her and her brother when they was young. I think they was 14 and 12. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, 14 and 12. And now she's she was a boxer. Then she wanted to do the modeling, and then I found out all the stuff would come with modeling. It's just the same stuff that goes on in Hollywood. So we had to get away from that, bro.
Yeah.
But she trained kids and trained people and stuff. And her mother is a photographer, and that's another thing you need to know about me, man. There's nothing like frozen time. I love pictures, and I've always traveled with photographers. I have a picture collection, over 75,000 pictures. I can tell my whole life with just pictures.
Wow.
So I want y'all to meet Jazz, and then I want you to meet her mother, the photographer.
Okay.
All right. So Jazz, sit right here and just say hello to these people.
Hey y'all.
Hello, Jazz. How you doing?
Jazz, how you doing?
Good.
How's it going?
She too pretty to look at, ain't she?
Well, yeah, whatever.
So how was the boxing?
I love boxing, honestly. Do I still want to go pro with it? Yes. Does Reggie want me to? No. He doesn't want to. I have every right to go pro. I mean, he can't really say, you know? So yeah, I am a boxer. I've been doing it for 12 years. I'm also a boxing coach and a personal trainer, and also a professional ring girl too at the same time. So I do it all.
That's good. That's good. So if you was to go box, when is your plans on being a world champion? How long would you think it would take you?
She gonna box the fruits and vegetables.
He said she is not boxing. Don't even talk to her about boxing.
Oh God. I don't know. It's just in timing, you know. I can't really say. You know?
Are you a boxer, puncher, slugger, or pure boxer? What is your style?
Once I see the blood, like that's it. Like
whatever.
Yeah, I mean, whatever
get the job done.
Yeah, whatever gets the job done. You know, whatever punch lands first.
That's right.
I mean, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
And how do you like the training part of it?
Oh, I love it. It's like you put all the hard work and dedication. Like it doesn't happen overnight, you know. So it's just a lot of work.
And she like working with kids too. I think that's what he meant by the training.
Yeah, training the kids.
Boxing. He's talking about boxing.
Training kids.
Oh, training too. Okay, training kids. Yeah. Okay, so training kids. Yeah, it's fun. The youngest I have is like a 4-year-old, and then I just go all the way up on training. It's a lot of fun. They're funny. A lot of the younger kids are funny.
Okay, great. More questions?
Do what?
Do you find it hard to keep their attention? Because I notice sometimes when we're in the gym, sometimes the kids they start running around and doing all types of things.
Oh no! I mean,
I've seen that before.
But mind you, we don't play. You gotta have discipline, and if you can't do it, then don't be a coach.
What about the king that time?
Oh, King's still good, no matter what. Okay, he had a hard time. But honestly, if you don't have discipline, then don't be a coach. Like if you can't do it, and if you can't make the time for them, then don't do it.
Yeah,
I make time for it. So There's
Especially
no
with kids.
excuses.
Patience is a virtue.
Yes, you
Yeah.
have to have
Training
patience.
kids. Yeah, patience.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know
And
she
where-
pretty, man, but she can't take my show, bro.
I guess I can.
Hey, I want you guys
And
to meet
where-
her mother. Her mother is the photographer, man. She's one of the great photographers, man. And like I told you, I love pictures.
Okay.
There's nothing like frozen time. So I like you to meet her mother.
Can't believe
Okay.
he's cutting my time.
Do you have a social media that you want people to
What to
reach
say.
out to you at or whatever?
Yeah. Okay. So Facebook, you can find me underneath the Jazzy G, and then Instagram, you can find me underneath Jasmine L'Oreal Lazo.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Nice meeting
All
you.
right.
And the
Nice
best
meeting
of
you.
luck.
too.
Whichever
You too.
one you choose, modeling or boxing, whichever one you choose.
Well, definitely
Reggie-
not modeling. It would be boxing. So don't forget.
Okay. You in good hands. Reggie got you covered.
I hope so.
At the grocery store, she go do the boxing.
Yes, indeed. Okay, now we're meeting the moms.
This
Hey
is her
guys,
mother,
how you
Tish.
doing?
How's it going?
Hello, how
Doing
you
pretty good.
doing?
How you guys doing?
I'm doing great. Heard you have a great eye, huh? As they say for photographers, correct?
They say. Let's see what happens. How y'all been?
I'm doing great. So would you
Yeah.
take pictures all over the town or you just take
I do boxing, MMA, family, events, birthday parties, all the above.
okay.
As long as it's within the guidelines.
Okay, yes indeed. Reggie said he has 12,000 pictures. How many you say, Reggie?
75,000.
I got a 75,000 picture collection, but
Yeah,
I've been
75.
even way before I even met her. I was, had photographers. The guy
Okay.
who used to take my pictures when I was a little kid, amateur kid, ended up hooking up with me as a pro. When I was living in L.A., he was with another fighter. He said, "Hey, boy, remember I used to give you the pictures? You said I was going to be your photographer." And he was with me for a long time. His name Oscar Skip Davis, the late Oscar Skip Davis.
Okay.
And when he passed away, I inherited a lot of his photos too. So from his sons. So yeah, I got pictures galore, man.
Yeah, I got
That's
a lot
awesome.
of pictures for over the last, 12, 14 years
Yeah.
doing stuff with them.
Oh, it's awesome. What type of cameras are you using?
I've done Nikons, Canon, and right now I'm doing Sony.
Okay, great.
So they're pretty good.
Do you have a social media presence or something they can reach you?
It's Smith and Jones. It's SMITH space capital N space Jones, and working on my Instagram.
Okay.
I work on Facebook more for the parents and the children. They're more into that. They're like, make it easy for us. So that's what I do.
That's great. That's great. So what we'll do is,
Definitely.
if you have a website or something as well, you can give that as well. We can add that to
No,
the
sir. I just
description.
got Instagram Tishography 8, and that's TISHOGRAPHY, and the number 8.
Okay, great. Everyone
Thank
go
you.
follow her. If you're in the Texas area, the Shepherd, Texas area, she's probably, if Reggie stamped her, she's probably the best photographer in the town.
Thank you.
Well, we drove to Shepherd, but we live in Houston. We based in
you
Houston.
live in Houston. Okay. Yeah, that's where your
Yeah,
mother's
yeah.
from, Shepherd. Okay.
Yeah, my
Well,
mother. This is
Houston.
where my grandmother and them from. We just drove down here.
Okay.
We come here every Thursday that we can.
Okay, great.
Okay, yeah.
So if you
thank
live
you,
in the
guys.
Houston area, go to her site and her Instagram page and follow her. The best photographer in Houston.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Can't wait
Nice
to meet you
meeting you.
guys. See y'all
Have a
soon.
great
Thank
one
you.
now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, see you soon. All right.
Okay.
Well, champ, it was an honor and a pleasure
Yeah,
having you on here. This was one of the. You had
I
something?
want to do a quick. I want to do a quick hit segment where we'll give you. I'm gonna give you a list of like 6-7 questions.
Okay.
And it's quick answers, like limited to one sentence. I don't want to limit the words, but I'll limit to a sentence.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. First one is most memorable moment of your career.
The most memorable, boy, that's a good one of my career. It had to be the Steve Collins fight because, like I told you, when that referee had one of the judges had it even, and because he had me winning the first judge had me winning, the second one had it even, and that look I had on my face pretty much tell you what I was thinking. Oh, they finna get me again. But when they announced my name as the new WBA middleweight champion of the world, I'll never forget that.
Okay. Lowest point of your career.
Well, the lowest point on my career is I got quite a few of them, but one of them is even though I won the fight in South Africa, being a young man, I had to be 21, 22 years old. When I really got back and really understood me fighting in South Africa during apartheid, I always wanted to meet the great late Nelson Mandela, and I never got a chance to meet that man face to face and apologize and tell him that I was sorry for fighting while he was locked up in South Africa.
Okay.
And he was a boxer also. He was a boxer also.
Yes, he was.
Oh, wow. Favorite venue you fought in?
The favorite venue I fought in, well, I think fighting in Las Vegas was for the first time, and that was way before I fought James Toney, because I think I had like 2 or 3 fights there when I lived in California, which is only like 5 hours from there. I think, Las Vegas, and probably even and South Africa. Being away South Africa and Las Vegas.
All right. Now we're gonna get to some fights that might be coming up and get your thoughts on those. Spence versus Crawford.
Whoo, man! I knew that was going to be the first.
You know it's coming. You know it's coming.
I would love to, man. That's in my heart and in my mind. I know that's a 50-50 fight. That's a fight that should have been didn't happen, or they should be getting ready to happen, man. That's what the people need. That's the fight that everybody want to see. And if you twist my arm, I'm from Texas. I would have to go with Spence, but I have a lot of love and respect for both for Spence and Crawford. But if you twist my right arm, the same arm I usually hit the guts you with, and make me pick one, I gotta show some love for Texas, man. That's Spence.
All right. Now Devin Haney.
Going to say though.
Devin Haney, Lomachenko.
I would love Devin Haney. Devin Haney.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tank Davis, Ryan Garcia.
No, I'm not. Let me tell you, out of all this, hey man, let me tell you something. I love Ryan Garcia, and I was telling everybody, man, that man gonna whoop Tank Davis. And then when I saw Tank Davis fight that guy, he hit with that uppercut. It kind of, that kind of like changed my mind. Yeah. That guy Tank Davis, man, because I really watched him in that fight. It wasn't only the uppercut he hit that guy with, how he set it up, how he took some good punches and was still there. Mm-hmm. But man, the way he just, he moved. This guy is just not a good puncher. I mean, he can box, man. Yeah. I would have to go with him, man. Yeah.
And the last one is Dmitry Bivol or Arthur Beterbiev.
I'm gonna call that one a draw because I don't know any one of those fighters.
No, neither one of them. They like heavyweights. Bivol just be what you call him, Beterbiev. Yeah, he's.
Beterbiev. That's that guy from
Russia.
He oversees it. Yeah, Russia. Okay, yeah. Yeah, but still, man, I don't really watch boxing like I used to. But
Okay. Yeah.
But those whoever win that fight, they the best man win. I don't really know them guys.
I got you.
Yeah.
Sound like me a couple of months ago. I know a lot of them guys, man.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
I didn't know a lot of them. I'm just learning them. It was an honor to have you on here, man. I thank you for being able to go out your time. You had something very important. You was able to spend time with us and share your story, man. We truly appreciate you. You're welcome here. We do panels sometime where we have like who's the best out of the top 5 referees. We'll do judges. We'll do trainers and things of that nature. We would love to have you on here on one of our panels sometime.
Okay.
Give your suggestions on who the best of whatever category we come up with.
Okay. Just let me know, man. You got my number. Just reach out to me and give me the heads up, and we can make it happen, man. I love talking boxing. I still have the same love when I was fighting for boxing.
Yes, indeed.
And it's the ultimate sport, boxing. I love it.
Yes, indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, 3-time world champion Reggie Sweet Johnson, the Second Wind Boxing Media. Peace.